And welcome back, everyone, to Pew to Power. I'm Mike Deem. He's Joe Bell. He is Football Joe, so he's got the knowledge. I don't know what I got, but I tell you what, the Buccaneers game against Kansas City, all you Buccaneers fans, you got to know what it is. Josh Freeman looks fantastic. Josh Johnson looks fantastic. The Buccaneers look fantastic.
It looked like a Super Bowl team in a roundabout kind. It did. If you didn't know what preseason was and you watched the game,
right?
And we watched it with a lot of people, so we got to sit in a whole big crowd of people at a restaurant, watch the game. They were cheering, they were happy, they were excited. Probably too excited.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and you try not to be that excited as a fan this early on. Again, I have big problems with preseason. I think they need 4 games. We can go into the whole long discussion about preseason should be cheaper so that more fans can go see it and shouldn't be part of your season ticket package. I mean, we talk hours about that because that's something I'm really passionate about.
Right.
I think more people need to see games.
Well, it needs to be. I said on our Facebook page, I said that it should be more like Major League Baseball, where you can have a cheap seat. Yep. You can go out there and you can actually, see the game for less expensive money and make it available for all the everyday fans.
And when you're trying to sell tickets, you think you'd want to allow those people at a very inexpensive price in preseason to get a little feel for the game. They win 25-0, and that's at home. Right. You're going to sell some tickets that day.
Right.
But let's get into this game a little bit.
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I mean, there's a lot of players on Kansas City that weren't even playing that game.
Well, now,
Matt Castle wasn't playing.
Coming into the game, Kansas City had not had a practice with pads. I don't know if you knew that. They did not have one pads practice. So they came into that game. They were really afraid. I guess they had gotten into training camp late. They were unsure whether they wanted to get anybody hurt that early.
Right.
So they were doing walkthroughs, light, maybe the shoulder pads, but not the rest of their pads.
Right.
So they really weren't ready, and you could tell really early on the team was not ready to play right when they came out of the gate.
And they had non-starters basically almost every position starting basically.
Right. Well, Tampa did too. Now Tampa did not. I mean, just a quick comment. Tampa did not have Aurelius Ben, who is a starting flanker.
Right.
They did not have Gerald McCoy, who is a starting defensive tackle. Aqib Talib was not there at the corner. Brian Price, who may not be there for the rest of the preseason, but he's another defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. Kellen Winslow, our starting tight end, and our new backup tight end, Luke Stalker, still hurt. Right. So there was a lot of the team not in the game to beat them 25-0.
Yeah, but
they are proving they are not a pushover team.
No, I agree with that.
Coming into this
I agree with that. I mean, I thought Freeman made, he had a good, okay game. Okay, Josh Freeman basically. He made some bad decisions on some of them, but overall, I mean, he was what? What is he?
He was 9 of 13,
78 yards,
74 yards.
74 yards.
And he ran in a 5-yard touchdown, which was an easy run in. They did a great job moving to the outside. What I saw to Josh Freeman is he was a leader in the game. And that's where he had to get from last year to this year, being a semi-rookie last year,
right,
to playing the whole season, to being the leader of this football team this year. And he is. He is the leader, and you can see it.
Well,
and you can hear it in the
franchise.
huddle. I mean, you can hear it in the huddle as well, that he is doing everything he can to make sure these players play and are accountable for what they do.
Right.
We watched him throw some passes that were dropped. He ran over and grabbed the guy by the helmet and said, listen, catch the ball. And that's a leader. That's what the old days it used to be like.
Well, he knows now. It's his team.
Yep.
He's controlling it. He's the face of the franchise, and he's going to make darn sure that they're going to succeed this year. That's the biggest thing I see to him. I see a maturity level coming out of him too. I think that's the biggest thing with me, is that some of the decisions that he was making, in the early last part of last season was all right. But I mean, he's done much better now.
Yep. And look, last week we had a big discussion about the only real acquisition they made outside of their own players was Michael Keenan, who was the kicker for Atlanta.
Yeah.
He was the kickoff specialist and the punter. Now, they paid him $19 million over 6 years, and if you go on Facebook or on the internet, people are just screaming about how poor of a decision that was.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, and he proved it in the game already.
He did.
That he is worth every single penny of that. Tampa has had more problems on kickoffs over the years, and punters. They've never had a solid punter that consistently punted well deep in their own territory.
So he proved his mettle at that particular game.
Exactly. Remember last year we played Atlanta?
Right.
The game we lost at home. He made a 70-yard punt out of his own end zone. That changed the entire tempo of the game in the fourth quarter, and that got them back in the game, and they ended up winning the game right at the end.
Right.
I mean, so a punter makes a huge difference, especially when we've had such a problem with one for so long.
Yeah, and the kickoffs, he's doing the kickoff duties also.
Yeah.
So
And he kicked every ball
kicked them out.
almost out of the back of the end zone almost every time.
I noticed that 2 of them, at least, I think he did it on purpose. He kicked them inside so they can get some
Right.
look at the young guys.
And actually, the guy came out and he didn't get to the 5.
Exactly.
That was the first kickoff, and that set the tone of the game right off the bat.
Right, right. Now, you know, it's funny because we're talking about the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are the youngest team. I still think is
They
still
are.
the youngest. I mean,
They are the
72
youngest
of the
team in-
90 players are under 25.
That's amazing, isn't it?
72.
That's amazing.
That's crazy. I mean, there's no veterans.
Look at all the starters. Our first-round pick Claiborne is going to be a starter.
Right.
Mason Foster most likely is going to be the starting middle linebacker, a third-round pick. I mean,
And he proved himself. I tell you what, I was impressed.
Yeah, he was
I
incredible
wasn't
during
sure
the
with
game.
Mason whether he was going to be that type of a player, that impact player.
Yep.
He will be.
he only over-pursued once in that whole game. I watched him really close, and only one time, and they backed him up, so they knew that could possibly happen, so they were ready for that.
Right.
You know, when you got Bowers, he did okay for his first. He wasn't in as much as Claiborne was he was at left defensive end. He was out a little bit. He came in and out. He's still a little hurt. They're still nervous about that knee injury, so they're not going to let him go full bore yet.
Yeah, but I don't see any
But
problem
again-
with him at all. I think he's going to be
Yep.
the pick of the draft. To be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I tell you what. Next segment, we're going to talk about the New England Patriots. Okay.
Yep. And a little bit
tonight's
more
game.
about this game. I've got a few more things I want to bring up about some players that people don't know their names.
Why? This game is done.
But it's names of people that people need to know for the next game. So for the Patriots game, people you're going to have to watch out for.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We're going to be right back. We're going
Hey,
to talk about New England.
but I do want to make a quick shout out early on in the show. Love Motorsports is our sponsor again
right.
this year, and we appreciate everything Chad and Bob have done for us, and they are a great sponsor of our show. So
Definitely.
make sure you get out to Love Motorsports in Homosassa and in Inverness. They're in both areas.
Yes.
And see what they got.
All right. We'll see you back right after these messages.